Welcome, Your Holiness, to your home in Chicago. It is a great honor for us to host you and your entourage today. We'd also like to welcome Khenpo Kartha Rinpoche, Lamas, and the monastics with us as well. We are honored to have Karma Tinila and Chamsinla and other distinguished guests who have come so far to be with us today. I'd also like to welcome Chicago KTC members of the past, the present, and the future, and to all of our friends. Today is the culmination of over 3 decades of prayers and aspirations to bring His Holiness Karmapa back to Chicago, the place of the Paranirvana of the 16th Karmapa, Rongjung Rigpe Dorje. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity with your time to come bless us and our center. Chicago KTC was founded in 1978, one of the first KTC centers in the United States, through the blessings of the 16th Jawang Karmapa and through the hard work and determination of Khenpo Kartha Rinpoche to fulfill his guru's wish to create Dharma centers in the United States. He has tirelessly traveled to the centers like ours for over 35 years and has compassionately taught the genuine Dharma, being a perfect example of pure discipline and pure devotion to Your Holiness. Our center began on the north side of Chicago and for 25 years was located in apartments of founding members. Until in 2003, through the support of generous members, we were able to acquire this building here in Cicero under the guidance of Bardo Rinpoche and Khenpo Kartha Rinpoche. This building was once a Bohemian's Oddfellow temple and was a hall used for gambling, dancing, and drinking in the Prohibition days. Rumor has it that even the notorious Chicago gangster Al Capone had connection with this establishment. It is in the spirit of recycling and reusing that we have repurposed this building for the spread of the Holy Dharma and specifically for the practice of the Karma Kagyu lineage. Many students and people from the community have come to this temple to learn about Lord Buddha's teachings. We have hosted many distinguished lamas from our lineage, such as Charlik Rinpoche, Mingyur Rinpoche, and many other realized masters. But today is the most blessed day in our long history. For 35 years, we have sustained ourselves on the practice of shamatha and the profound meditation of Chenrezig, which has been the treasure of our Sangha. It is our sincere wish that Your Holiness can say some words to deepen our Dharma practice and increasing our loving kindness for our mother sentient beings. We would be so humbled to receive the transmission of the Mani Mantra and teaching on Chenrezig, the essence of bodhicitta. We will treasure this moment for as long as we live, and we want to express our sincere gratitude for your visit to us today. Thank you.
시카고 게리시리아 영화기 고급 중부대 가우스타 중스 드린두산에 드리데 시카고 더 게리시 멤버의 다나신기 그냥 대여 차원로야 정말 쯤지샤이.
I'm very happy to be able to come here today and have this opportunity to be here at the Chicago KTC. And I would like to extend my warm welcome and greeting to all of the Chicago KTC members, as well as all of you who are here today.
들이 네, 그러다. 들이 고급디 수원시에 캠프를 묻히 도시민달로 숨주린리아 아주다 디게 최소 된달이야 공예 겸다 다나 신기 아주 최소 처음이 선인 남기장 아니 무투이네 아니 최소 니체도 셴슈 주버더 되게 상월로야 투시 대리 고급디 순제 투체다 그렇지 슈아인.
I'd especially like to take the opportunity today to express my gratitude to Khenpo Karta Rinpoche, who for the past 30 years has been undertaking tremendous effort on behalf not only of the many other centers, but of this Dharma center as well. And I'd like to take this opportunity that presents itself today to express my gratitude to all of the senior as well as newer directors and members of this center for all of their efforts to sustain that activity.
다들 가수래 다 시카고 미세다 가수래 요아디 고바 김전을지 아메리카 사자 신다다 먼저 더 고바 김전을지 통고야를 때 가르스나 경 삼이 켄시브레 경원 군지 주주바디다 공부 조서디 안디 lum바디 차디 요아래 드린 주스타네 드린데 요아디 엔드리지 가수다 경원 주주베기 냥에는 대베다 제바로 제수 태양으로 리직 체도 요아들 안게 그바드 균세 미세 통고요.
Lasso? As many of you know, there is a special reason for my coming to this area of the United States today. It is an area that is unique to other areas of this country. And this is, of course, for the reason that it is the place where His Holiness the 16th Gyalwang Karmapa, Rangjung Rikpe Dorje, displayed the enlightened deed of passing into parinirvana. And so it is for the purpose mainly then of recollecting this enlightened deed that I have come to this area of the country.
다들 다들 샴리야 당기 공도 가르 그만나보다 신기 제레스 그도 다 도들지만 롱을 치긴
Lasso? In accordance with the request that was expressed earlier, I will now recite the scriptural transmission for a brief sadhana of Avalokiteshvara Chenrezig. There are many sadhanas of the noble Avalokiteshvara, but from among these we could say that the most widely known in terms of Tibetan Buddhism is the one that was composed by the Mahasiddha, Tangtong Gyalpo. And this is the sadhana for which I have offered the scriptural transmission. I was also requested to say a few words of teaching in connection with the meaning of the sadhana, and so I will do so in a very brief fashion. I don't have a lot of extensive remarks to make.
Teleyanda che sik sadi ta pyoge de gyagaga kashurda. Da du kanda che sik sadi ta pyoge tolyaji di che sik chenyo de karasana ta misegi. Yang de korang rang che sik nyamle de kanji yimba de chöntu re samchangyo.
Lasso? I think that the name Chenrezig itself in Tibetan says a lot about the meaning of the entire practice.
Chere six lad the chen sade migi shesare then six sade da migi tawe tönde chezang chambegi jengi chambada zewe jengi da ninzi judo roa namla sikbasar riji kuya.
Lasso? Chen is the honorific word for eye, and sik means to look. So it's the action of the eye, to look or to see. And so this means that Chenrezig looks continually throughout the 6 phases of time with love and fondness and affection upon all sentient beings.
chezang azu che sing nyamle chenge chu azu midi da khandar jibe dangse ngui nizu thalya susu gu dongye jibo mai ba simje da tamshege da 강에 더 동에 컨디 체에 베텔야 방아주 미 당체 엔 디즈체도 가슈르다 제외게 삼밤 통에 삼바 깨고 왜임브레
Lasso? Therefore, when we set out to practice Chenrezig, what that means for us is that we need to open our eyes to what is really going on, not only with our own individual sufferings and difficulties, but with regard to the sufferings and difficulties of all sentient beings. We open our eyes to that and we bear witness to that suffering with a mind of love.
Odrin Jusanda Bana Jeresi Cha Shivadang Taraji Jeresi Cha Dong Jedebit da Jeresi Namjang Wion Diare Hashegi physical Jibutuane some of the Jusanda Diji Nora Sawaruchi complicated Senantado Yanaji can't Sawaruchi the Tungare.
And there can be many, and have been many, physical manifestations or manifestations in terms of appearance of Avalokiteshvara. For example, Avalokiteshvara is sometimes taught in the 4-armed form or the 1,000-armed form, and so on. So sometimes when we look at all of these different manifestations, it could seem complicated or even strange.
Tayene di tunda de samdongwa di nyamlen chebe kolya ji lai xie da lai cha da di zugi visualize samarbe mikbate ba zum ma se da tunda samdongwa di nyamlen gi nenga ru zo cha di re samchungi.
Lasso? However, it's important for us to consider the meaning behind all of these visual appearances. So the practice of Chenrezig not only entails, doesn't only entail visualizing the faces, arms, and so forth of the deity, but it entails reflecting upon what these appearances are supposed to mean.
제시 차동 제노 디고 ngaran 겔 초나르 추소
Lasso?
가르 추소사나다 녜 bana ngara tsaraya yongyen da mi mangyungwa jiyare 미망부징에서 용체 아니 고주기 지 가수에 수수에다 자와당 더 미수수 강에다 더 진두 망부지 알아야 된거래 다 미사메기 지 자와때바 탐지 주토야데 갈아가버 샤디아래 땅아라 미직마도 매자 미가 미직이 미사메지 자와 주토야데 갈아가버시도 레미 임비 준센데네 eng에 걸리걸리 제레시 차동과디 오늘 가수에 다디 캔사버도 많이 봐 다디 should be somewhere 다 먹고 가면 되지
Lasso.
다디 내리지 통송 간다라 다당한 주 심지 리진 듄도 다 장다 자베 주버지 되네 디 되는 체투야고 누가 알아서 요마데 임비냥 아주기다 멸람세난다도 아주저와디 심지 리진 듄도 다 랑이 그 주버지 되네 다 탐지기 다 자와당 지삼베 되는 가려비네 디 만족이 봐도 개발이 개발 심진 대다 심진 디기다 팬도 로람 치아로 들리지기다 멸람으로 지역과의 개심을 차디하래 제상 제스 작동 전통직 차망고 예대버지 안다나 신기 다나 신기 제망고 예대버 디기 천세장 퍼지 들리지기다 간다라 공기 저외된 variety of 가서다지 나바나 소변 저외된 지기여버지당 큰선 심지 지동에서 뭐 심지 가서 수수수수 가서 게르 수수수수 동에라 큰선 첨부지기여버지 정말로 삼들이 저기
In particular, with regard to the thousand-armed form of Avalokiteshvara, I personally had an experience of maybe seeing some of the reasons why we visualize such a deity or why we rely on the form of such a manifestation. In my day-to-day and week-to-week life, there are many people who come to see me, and each of these individuals has his or her own hopes, aspirations, difficulties, and sufferings. And so I'm only one person. And because that is the case, it's very difficult for me to be able to accomplish all of the hopes of all of the individuals who come to see me. So reflecting on this situation, it occurred to me that not only is the thousand-armed form of Avalokiteshvara not a strange thing, but it's actually a necessary thing. It seems that it would be necessary for a great bodhisattva to have such a high number of arms in order to accomplish the great variety and great number of different aspirations of sentient beings, and to alleviate all of the great numbers of different sufferings that sentient beings experience. We don't have the ability at present to emanate replicas of ourselves to go out and perform the benefit of others, but we can make the aspiration that one day we will achieve that ability. Not just to replicate ourselves as an emanation, but to really go out and to be able to accomplish all of the different and great variety of hopes of sentient beings, and to be able to alleviate all of the various different kinds of sufferings that all of the individual sentient beings have. Making that aspiration is very important. It's very important for us to hold that aspiration in our heart until we accomplish the welfare of all sentient beings, to basically hold the aspiration in our heart that we'll be of benefit to each and every one, and that we will find ways to benefit each and every sentient being. And in a similar way, the thousand eyes also is representative of the reality that there are many different situations of sentient beings for us to be aware of, for us to look upon and bear witness to and give rise to concern about.
드린 주사는 자동 제노사디 더지 physical 다 된지 제시 자동 세딩이 전동 세딩이 되지 제시 여러베스는 다디 제주 제과스 개민도 섬정도 되지 외다메 다 조디 천세디 나바도 제시 자동 세동 조지 미나 상아 냠내를 쳐가래 제사 천재 사야지 상하나로 천재 사야지 개척 쉽지 알아 다디 가르쳐 거 알아 다지 차망 위에부터 more action somewhere 간다지 든지 예되지 제망부 예되지 마시 제 6 사야지 맞을때 거라 가서지 more involvement somewhere 다지 동해 가르쳐 위에부터는 거스베 직del이 유엔에 맞대 아주 망부지 또 동해 망부지 통인 되고 아마 이제 뭐 임비치제
Lassa?
애는 믹 체과를 비슷해 임비치 다 전투고요 단도나 천재 된기 다 제스 스마로 될래야 삼동과디 개침을 주제
Therefore, if we were to ask the question, does this thousand-armed, thousand-eyed form of Avalokiteshvara really exist, then I think that the answer is it's not important. Investigating that question is not the most important thing. The most important thing to reflect on is the meaning behind these symbolic appearances. What do these symbolic appearances of the deity represent? So the symbolism is a very important principle in the secret mantra Vajrayana. And so the multiplicity of arms and hands symbolizes the need for us to be more active in alleviating the sufferings of sentient beings. And the symbolism of the high number of eyes represents the need for us to not try to avoid the suffering of sentient beings. Sometimes we lapse into an attitude of not wanting to bear witness to the sufferings of others. So to counter that, we reflect on the meaning of the thousand eyes, which is that we need to open our eyes to the sufferings of sentient beings and bear witness to that. So then, rather than the physical forms themselves, I think the most important point with regard to Avalokiteshvara is contemplating the principles that these appearances symbolize.
다나 시제시 최시바데 되나시레 차시바디 세메시 챤아르 근데 송도 근데 단도나 아주 다다 피지컬 서브라라바 니야레 다드네 인두사 제레스 고네 라바 퇴바 니게 용거스 아마레
Lassa?
다데게 아디스가라 가보레 샤슈동과 미세 유마레 섬정도 다이나 조조데 가라서나 라소리아 지금 spiritual somewhere 지 낭sem기 나로리아 간다르지 다다 가셔다지 칠류디 세시 예바를 가셔요 limit somewhere 든지 주의해야 되지래 이는 아주 스템리아 가서 세 매버를 준비 인두산 디균전 때네 아주 심게 난게다 수수 individual 양 신다지 사버지 든지주의 세제 될이야 딱 한다 지 가서 세메시 뉴바다 댐베지라 차 시유에 대바다 다네 차 동유에 대바로 든지기 딱 한다 난심기 정이 되베 뉴바심을 되베 든지 수준체화디 되게 좀
Lassa? Similarly, there is the popular form of Avalokiteshvara, which is the four-armed Avalokiteshvara. The four arms of this Avalokiteshvara represent the four limitless ones, or the four immeasurable qualities. And when we visualize such a deity, we don't have to be worried that we ourselves will grow 2 extra arms. I think that would be very difficult to have that happen. But rather, we contemplate this from a spiritual perspective, or from a point of view of how does it impact our mind on the inside. So our body on the outside is a limited phenomenon, but there is no limit to our mind on the inside. So we use the form of the four-armed deity to rise up in our minds within the qualities of the four immeasurable, the four limitless ones, or the four immeasurables. And in the same way, we bolster our mind, or the power and capabilities of our mind, through visualizing the thousand-armed, thousand-eyed deity, and so forth.
단도나 제세기 데 상계 탐지에게 가수의 니지 릉수 사람도 상계 탐지기 니지디 플라이 넘버 샤르데바 플라이 수수 된데바 아미 저주스비 수수 나한데바 딘지 차디 요래 제자 제레스 냠레 세나야 참바데 니지 냠레 차디 요래 드네 인두산다 제레스 냠레 야부차 마자사디 참바데 니지 냠레데 야게 치마지 그러다 냉가로 대토데 요래 드네 비준선 때는 참에 참니지 냠레데 근데 수수기다 가주 니마지지기 초에 나로라 지 라레 예버지다 냠레 예버를 지지 용과다 개심으로 주셔서 도수자이
Lessa. Avalokiteshvara is the embodiment of all of the loving kindness and compassion of all of the Buddhas, arisen in the form of a deity or arisen in the form of a bodhisattva. And so therefore the practice of Avalokiteshvara is the practice of loving kindness and compassion. And therefore if we want to know whether our practice of Chenrezig is improving or not, then we can simply ask the question, is our loving kindness and compassion improving? And there we will have our answer. So the essential practice of Chenrezig then falls to us on a day-to-day basis. And the immediate concern of bringing loving kindness and compassion in a practical way into our experience, our feelings, and our day-to-day interactions.
다 담아들이야 들이 시카고 연도부터 가브스타슈 미생아주디 게디시 연도부터 시작하죠. 가르사나 시계리 영화 말을 처음 있는 레라브르 스케쳐가 말해. 안드린 인두산 들이 로 망부치 제리아다 디질레토 중원데 가브스타슈. 안 망발이나 아주드디 까마바 정화 고고메기다 제dengi 최대 rinpoche 신디 아래 제상 대주 신 주베 거리는 지정아 용토를 삼정이요 아들이 데라서베다 고급 망부치 망부리 용토야 고급 양양 용토야다를 와르 수에 아들이 주산의 경주 성로들이 안데 용알이야다 가서 처리를 제 이게 상으로지 가서 시작지 닝타원에 엔드리지기 다 수마 서머르다 sab게 나오들이야 도체슈아인 그런지.
It has been a great joy for me to visit Karmatriyana Dhamma Chakra as well as KTC. And the reason for this in particular is because it is not easy, as you know, for me to visit foreign countries, and it has been many years have passed since my last visit. Now a project is underway for the construction of a commemorative stupa for the 16th Gyalon Karmapa Rangchong Rikpe Dorje, and I hope to be able to return for the occasion of the completion of that stupa, the completion of that stupa's construction. And in the same way, I hope to return here many times. So in conclusion, I would just like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for all of the plans that you have made, plans and preparations that you have made for me to come here, and for welcoming me so warmly. Thank you very much.
Sonamde tamje sebane thone nyebe ranam kega ngaju bala sibe zole ro jo jambe babu jidrai kundo zambe de ande jende de la bunye kyo de da tamje ra dongo sangye kusum nyebe
Chindang Hawa Mulam Drupa Shol